Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke, but I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
All right, we're going to try something a little different. The only way I'm going to lie to you is I'm not going to disclose whether it's an acquaintance, a family member, not that I have many family members, client. You know, I when I tell people stories and try to help you and recognizing how I've helped myself, I just can't tell you who they are. And the people close to me understand this, that I'm very likely to disclose something I've learned in talking to somebody that I think can spare somebody else grief and incite joy. So I'm going to take pauses as I process this, as I discuss it with you. I've alluded in, I think, a handful of these podcasts about synchronicities. It stems from Carl Jung again, and I feel like I say his name every 20 minutes. But synchronicities in life, and this is where the clairs play in as well. I'm clairaudient, so very, very often, like driving here today, you know, knowing I was going to be talking to Jesse and Jesse's girl comes on. That stuff has happened to me my whole life. I learn from lyrics. If I'm dealing with something lyrical will happen in my mind. Very often it's a song that I don't know the artist. I know something small, lyrical enough that I can look the song up, and then, that it was just very poignant with whatever my conscious, unconscious is dealing with. I just accept this about myself. Again, always thinking that other people were having the same experiences, and they don't, but they can. It's just a choice to see synchronicities. I also have alluded that I need to see something or feel or sense something in threes, just because I don't know. It's my own way of validation and confirmation. So, that being said, I'm just inviting you, and I don't force anything. I really, in the energy work that I do, I really pay attention to what comes forward. It doesn't mean I can't, go down the rabbit holes that I've explained, but I'm really cognizant, no pun intended. And cognizant, by the way, is a word that I've used for years. I remember how I started, but I never made the connection with claircognizance till fairly recently, which is just part of the humor of being in this mind of mine. Very often what will happen, regardless of the person, I have a lot of people in my life that I don't talk to often. Somebody that'll show up I haven't spoken to in a year, or there was a man in my life that's been in my life for 40 years. Since I was 15, he was 23. We had a small romance that wasn't inappropriate for the age. It was very appropriate, thanks to him. And we are in one another's lives. He's definitely in my soul family. He is a wonderful artist, ADHD brain, and a couple weeks ago, he called me at 4 a.m. Had never happened before. We talked for a few hours. I get that kind of stuff going on. I don't feel connective tissue with a lot of people, but I feel connective energy with a lot of people, if that makes sense. So, a couple big conversations this week that were really pivotal, especially in doing this podcast. And I was talking to somebody that has been in my life for a while who is part of that 40-something. And I find the 40-something, and again, a lot of this is just energy and feelings and opinion. I feel a lot of the 40-somethings, the millennials, Gen Y, baby boomers kids, the me generation's children. Sorry, they have that stigma. Really, it's a really angry bunch. It's the bunch that the men realize, oh, fuck, I really do have to have work-family balance. And the women that say, well, I don't want to fucking do what my mother did. My generation of women, say 50 to 65, I don't think there's a generation that, thought we could have it all more. Work, kids, parents, whatever. So I'm seeing in this millennial generation a lot of anger. And the reason I see more male anger is that I'm in finance. I come into contact with businessmen of, well, you can, I don't have to say it, but I come into contact with a lot of men on the front lines of work-family balance. And I'm really amazed that some men can do it really well and other men are on fire, furious. And so I had the luxury of talking to somebody yesterday who is catching how furious he is and has children and doesn't want to repeat the cycle, what was done to him. And inevitably, we repeat the cycle. We start to, in my case, I repeated the cycle until, not it was too late. I still was able to spare cocksuck and dicklick a lot, but they don't realize it yet. They're still reeling with the decisions I had to make from being abused, stepping away from family, stepping away from relationships, divorce, and all that stuff is part of trauma, regardless of what I was experiencing before I figured out what I needed to do. So this person has caught it, 2 children, wife, and facing himself in a way that he started 2 years ago, but it's gotten to the point where there are some things that he's experiencing emotionally that, and the pauses are to just be mindful of what I'm saying. It's a very common scenario where I was able to help him because he's, he knows how angry he is. It's affecting his mental health. Very often in men, it's depression and anxiety. And women, same. Bipolar, borderline from trauma tends to, and remember, I don't have this degree, I've just done a ton of research, tends to be more affiliated with women, but I think we're seeing stuff creep more into the sphere of men, narcissisms from trauma, any kind of mental or neurological difference that is creating havoc, creating chaos. It needs to be examined, and it's very much a personal journey. I'm sorry about this. Yeah, I got to learn to shut that off, right?
Amateurs.
Huh?
I said amateurs.
So where was I, Brian? Were you asleep?
No, you were talking about this gentleman who just identified the fact that he's overwhelmed, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's given up his love for family, which is something that women have had to do historically. I had to. I didn't have to, but I chose my business, my kids, and my mother. So he's taken something that now becomes suppressed in his shadow, the thing that he loves to do. And it's a lie, but let's say it's sculpture. So he's no longer sculpting. You smell when I'm stepping in. So I pointed that out, and I pointed out what I could from the perspective of marriage. I mean, I think a lot of people, check the boxes with their spouses, and then, you're 10 years in and you're staring at one another, wondering what the fuck happened. And it doesn't mean you're not good people. It just means you might be better as co-parents than torturing one another through divorce and the disillusionment of whatever you created. So I pointed out that there needs to be a more productive discussion around, what we're doing. You need to look at yourself first, and then the marital things sort of work themselves out. And then where your kids are concerned, he had done something that cultivated a lot of shame. Not going to get into it. You can imagine if you screw up with your kids, whether it's rage or criticism, whatever it is. And I know something that really helped me when my son, I almost said their names. My sons were 4 and 1.5 when things in my life started to go in a direction that was just not good. And when my son walked in the room, the 4-year-old, I'd just smile. I just knew enough to smile. I did not have any gas in the tank. But, so if your kid walks in the room, know enough to smile. Your spouse walks in the room, know enough to smile. And, within a non-abusive spousal relationship where two people are really trying, it helps. I didn't have that luxury, but I would imagine it would help. And then it certainly helps with the kids. One of his sons asked him why he was angry. They're getting to that age. And he made a reference to, I got to be careful here because I need you to know what I mean without spelling it out. But he made a reference to what he was carrying for the previous generation for a parent. So he was telling his child that he was angry because of the previous generation. And I said, be careful with that. Because now not only are you carrying it, but now your kid's carrying it. So make your anger about yourself. What that person did to that other person in the previous generation, you're in this generation still angry and sad. So make it about you. I hope that's clear. Kids are pretty resilient. So these tactics, even if your kids are, my kids, I didn't really connect the dots to my kids were 12 and 15. And I don't want to go as to what clicked for me, but I knew at that point, I had to work on me, and then I would then see where I could go with them. But with the younger kids, just know you've got some deep resilience within them, and you can talk so honestly to children, and say things that spare them grief and incite joy, but just don't work hard to not tell the truth. The truth is okay. I'm angry because I haven't forgiven my father, my mother, and forgiveness is a whole fucking quagmire. I had to forgive because such unbelievable things had happened to me that I made the decision just not to let them corrupt the rest of my life. So forgiveness for me worked. Doesn't mean you forget, and I know that's trite, but just recognize that it's really the journey back to self, and only then can the other things become more clear. And don't give up what you're most passionate about. Don't give up. In my case, my passion was what I wanted to do for others, having my own business, stepping away from corporate to be able to do what I wanted to do for others. And I'm an introvert, so that didn't always mean frontline things for me. But, you know, to be able to make contributions or donations and have causes and very, very clear on my causes. I still am. There's a lot I still want to do. And that's why I'm fucking doing this. Time, Brian. Fuck. Sometimes I talk and it goes like lickety split, and other times I feel like it's grueling.
Why, you feel like you're dragging?
No, I just don't. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So I only talked about one person. I wanted to talk about the other person.
That's why I'm here to help.
Hey, you know, she's quick. She's quick. This fucking brain of mine. I've had people meet me and think I'm intelligent. And I've had people meet me and think I'm a donut. It's like, it depends on what we're talking about. So then I was talking to another person who, this person, I'm laughing thinking about who it is. And it's another man. And I'm not lying. I talk to a lot of men. He went through a divorce, adult child. This person, ironically, came into my life many years ago when I was first interested in comedy, and then faded out, and then has come back. And it's like I say, I don't have people where we're talking consistently. I have a couple female friends like that. I don't. My male friends are different. And I have the luxury of talking to a lot of men, which I enjoy. I really do. It's you know, the energy that is just different. And they help me stay in my feminine energy, whether they realize it or not. So there had been somebody post his marriage, during his marriage. I really don't know the details. I don't know the details. And he had expressed to me that this person was great in so many ways, but didn't share his interest in activities. And those activities were very important to him. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, I need somebody that I would love for them to have their own activities and not be interested in my activities because of the amount of solitude I need. But this person's very extroverted, so I got it. You know, I got it. And the person he cared for but needed somebody to motorbike with him and needed somebody to boat with him. And that was very important. And I got it. You know, for me, that's something that, I already said it. It's just not how I think, but I'd be like, go out on your fucking boat for 4 hours. That's me. But I need a very independent person. Not that that's not independent. I understand and appreciate extroverts like to fucking boat together. I get it. So anyway, he was stepping away from that relationship, but he left the door open. And I think it's very cruel when people leave the door open when they really know they want something else, or even if they think they want something else. You know, you should explore it and be honest with the other. So he left the door open. I don't judge. I don't give a shit. And then he put a lot of space in dating and then went back to dating. And he was running by me a few of the women he was dating. And I only give opinions when asked because I always have an opinion. But I know that, you know, I know in a sense people are talking to me because they want my opinion. But I still wait for somebody to ask. And if I'm wanting to offer something, I typically test the waters. So I test the waters with this person, and we we agree to disagree a lot. It's fine. And I point out things, and you may want to pay attention. You may not. I mean, I have come to realize how much I know about human nature because of my own examination of the consciousness and unconsciousness. I've put myself through a lot. So a lot of it is speculation, but it's not meant to hurt and it's not meant to be negative. It's meant to ultimately bring that person better in touch with his own unconscious in this case, because he's not really aware. So I had to point out to him that the way he was dating was still very unconscious. He and I hear this a lot, especially from men, that they don't, I'm talking to. Like, I'm not, are you dating? Well, I'm talking to. It's not serious. The word dating has become like taboo. Like, you're dating. It doesn't have to work out, But he was dating a few people, and as per usual, it gets sort of narrowed down to one, and he's still, taking it slow. And I said, God, if you're spending that much time with somebody and you don't know if it's worth pursuing, there's probably still some inherent things that aren't hitting the mark. And he was very protective of himself and very much wanted control. So he would say, I don't want much. But when the relationship got sexual, he put her in a position to be like, well, I guess you can be with other people. And I hear a lot of that, until, everybody wants the sex, but nobody wants the emotional piece. And you get to a certain age, it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. That works in your 20s. That works in your 30s, provided I talk about it, but I didn't do it well. Let me just be very clear. I fucked a lot of shit up. So anyway, and his age is in and around mine. And I'm going to be 56 tomorrow. Fuck. Oh my God. Anyway, all right, I digress. So I had to say to him in a roundabout way, and this is a person who's very insightful. He's got the beautiful mix of insight, and he can be the coolest little boy in the world. He's got that beautiful mix, and I don't mean that in a negative way, in a mothering way. That's not how I mean it. If you know, you know. And I'd like to think I'm a little girl, and that's how I mean it. Our children can play together. So I was trying to tell him, I said, you're holding all the cards, man. You held all the cards with the woman that didn't share your interest, and you left her hanging. The new woman knows about the first woman, and he keeps saying, Brian, now it's ring-a-dinging for me. I'm being brutally honest. Were you thinking that too?
A little bit.
All right.
Just be honest. Leave out the brutal part.
Gotcha. I have something that I'm writing called Everyday Brutality, so that's where that comes from. I will lose it in deference to you.
That's fair.
Or please correct me, spank me, do whatever
context,
you need to do.
I was telling Joe that I don't like when people say brutally honest. Just be honest. If it's brutal, that's for anybody else to interpret.
Yes, and if you can get me back to where I was a minute and a half ago, I said that being on the spectrum, there is a different level of honesty. I think neurotypical honesty is tinged in white lying.
You're right. All right, back to the show.
So I think I can bring myself back. Oh, Robin Quivers, where are you? So he was holding the cards, and then he's putting the new person who has waited for someone like him in a position to say to him, well, I'll wait till you want to be monogamous. You do what you need to do. And I said to him, Fred, his name's not Fred. I said, Fred, fuck. Neither of these women has any fucking choice in what you're creating. I said, you're holding the cards, man. I said, if you're fucking got your dick in my body in my 50s, you're not fucking anybody else. It doesn't mean, it just, come on. Not only is it not spiritually and energetically satisfying, it's just, we're too old for that. So anyway, I did resonate with him. I don't, and very often people will say, well, give me something to think about. I'm like, yeah, and you either think about it or you don't. But you've got to give women their power back. You've got to be honest and let them make a decision. Now, I know that women have learned this dance, trying to get, I know what women do. I know what women do. And I'm generalizing terribly. But, until a man embraces his anima, until a man identifies with the divine feminine, it doesn't mean become feminine. I hope with the 67 things I've said about it, it's clear, you want to harmonize. He saw that he was shooting himself in the foot and creating resentment and creating future problems. And he was also, had some more clarity on why things have fallen apart for him. And this is a I don't want to call him a unicorn, God forbid, but this is somebody that, has a trifecta. This is somebody who's bright, very good looking, has it all. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, but you don't have that divine masculine lead that women really want. So they're still responding to you from a point of weakness because of where they are within themselves. And that's a whole nother conversation. So I hope I made it clear. You can tell that this is why all my friends drink and do drugs, talking to me. But, I really, 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 I want to see relationships improve, and I want us all to have more contentment, for lack of a better word.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.